Ladies, gentlemen, cool kids, and uncool kids, Andy here. I'm joined with Imogen.
Hi.
Hello. We're going to talk about performance anxiety and particularly women's version of performance anxiety, which is more factored or more viewed around orgasms. So, plenty of guys get performance anxiety, plenty of guys get erectile dysfunction. I have done quite a lot of videos on this. If you go over onto my YouTube channel, just search for the word dysfunction or search for anxiety. This video down here is probably the best one, which is Fix Your Erectile Dysfunction and Performance Anxiety. I also did an interview with Ed, who suffered a lot from ED. It's in his name, Ed, ED, and he talked about how he overcame that. And I've said to a lot of my male coaching clients when they have erectile dysfunction that women also get performance anxiety. Theirs is more, I mean, maybe I'll let you speak for this, but I hope I do a good job. I hope I'm pretty blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I think a large part of it is, or the majority of it probably is psychological.
Mm.
Just similarly to, I guess, men's performance anxiety, where a lot of it, some of it can sometimes be physical, but a lot of it can often just be being in your own head, being
Mm.
anxious, overthinking it, and then that getting in the way of you letting yourself be sexual. Your body can't relax, and it then feels an inability to express sexuality, I guess.
Yeah.
And I also know that it's not just orgasms, but sometimes women can feel a little bit insecure about not getting wet, for example.
Hmm.
And sometimes you can be into the sexual act, into somebody, but then you're not getting wet. And I think a lot of people, at least, I don't often hear people talking or friends talking about using lube. And so then I think women sometimes put a pressure on themselves to be wet so that they can have good, pleasurable sex. And
Mm.
there can be a lot of stress or anxiety involved in that. And then, like you said, yes, it's about often that performance anxiety can come from insecurity, being worried, being scared, being vulnerable in front of your partner, being worried that they're not going to find you attractive, and so on and so on.
And the biggest one of all, worrying that you won't be able to orgasm or struggling to orgasm. And this one's like super common with so many women, particularly the first couple of times that they're with a new partner when they're getting to know someone. Like it feels good, you're getting closer and closer to orgasm, but maybe you just like can't quite get over the edge. It is
Mm.
something that a lot of guys don't ever really feel. A lot of guys struggle with coming too quickly or worrying about not being able to hold off. I have worked with with a few different men that struggle to orgasm in front of women, but
Mm.
it's usually a female thing. Is this something like is orgasming in front of other people something that took you a little bit of work? I know the answer, obviously, because I was there, but
Mm. Yeah, it definitely took a little bit of time. I think for a long time I'd gotten pretty good at making myself feel good and masturbating and using sex toys. But then, even while still using sex toys, orgasming in front of you and your partner was very hard.
yeah, I remember the first time we tried, we had a big vibrator. This one, big wand vibrator, they're called. And we used this bad boy. And this is like a baseball bat. This thing weighs like 1,000 friggin' megatons. It's super strong, super sturdy, super powerful. Like this is basically the force of like 7 nuclear power plants, like just in the tip. So super powerful one, super powerful vibrator. And we used this. It took an hour the first time we made you orgasm in front of me because, you struggled to get out of your own head. You struggled to let go. You struggled to surrender, I guess. And it is very much a feeling of letting go with women's orgasms.
And I think, particularly at the start, when you and I were first trying, it was a case in which we'd kind of decided that we were going to try and make me come. Like it became a little bit of like a mission because the first couple of times we had sex, we didn't put too much of a priority on it.
Hmm.
But after a while, you said like, "I'd be fine if you could come in front of me."
Hmm.
And I think part of that was like there was a level of added pressure there
Hmm.
of like, I feel like I need to do this thing. And then as time ticks on, there, like when we're in the middle of sex trying to make me come, there's then that pressure of like, oh shit, it's been a long time. Is he getting frustrated? Is he getting bored? And I think there have been times in the past where there has maybe even been a bit of like boredom or mild frustration's probably
It's
not the
like a
right
feeling
word.
of like,
Impatience.
yeah, lots of guys can get impatient. They want a woman to orgasm. Maybe they have a big vibrator or something, or they're just using their hands all the time. And there's sort of a feeling of like, God, I wish she'd hurry up. And
Yeah.
they don't mean to, but that then does put even more pressure on a woman to orgasm.
Yeah. And whether like her partner is feeling that or not, because it can sometimes just be imagined that,
Hmm.
oh, my partner's getting annoyed or impatient or anything like that.
Yeah.
That gets so much in the way of actually then allowing that orgasm to happen. I think you did an interview actually with Georgie Wolf, and I think I remember listening. I know you, Andy, did an interview with a woman named Georgie Wolf, and I'm not sure if you two spoke about it together or it was actually an episode of hers that I listened to, but she was talking about how she was somebody that really, really struggled to come. And I think she was speaking with a like sex expert, and what this woman was talking about was the fact that like that tension and that like
Mm.
trying to clench and trying to make yourself orgasm and that holding on, like often that feeling of like an orgasm building up,
The
and then
pressure, yeah.
yeah, and then you're trying to like squeeze that and make it happen, and that tension, whether that's physical or mental, can often get in the way of actually having the pleasure and enjoying it. Like the trying really hard and the worrying that you won't come, as I've said earlier, like it gets in the way.
Yeah, and guys put the same pressure on themselves to have an erection. And then, maybe their dick is only half hard or not hard at all. And then in their own head, they're like, come on, little dicky, like get hard. What's wrong with you? Hurry up. Like, fucking God, this is so bad. And it's like, bro, that doesn't make your dick hard. So the same thing with women. You put pressure on yourself. I have to orgasm. I should be coming quicker. God, he's been going down on me for half an hour right now and I still haven't orgasmed. I need to do a better job.
Yeah, and I think the nature of orgasms with women is that it differs so much from person to person.
Yep.
Like the different women that we've slept with, we've been with girls who, and I say this with a little bit of jealousy, but have absolutely no difficulty coming at all, can come in like 30 seconds, like 10 times in a row. And all it takes is like fingering them for a little bit or like rubbing their clit. And like, that must be nice. But this has not been my experience. And for the majority of women that we've either been with or I've spoken to, that's also not their experience. And
Mm.
often it can
Yeah,
be,
most women don't orgasm that quickly, especially with a new partner. They can with a toy, but like,
and everyone is so specific.
mm,
And
mm,
like,
mm.
as the partner, if you're trying to help be involved in that orgasm, sometimes it requires a lot of communication to figure out what they like. And you've said this to me before, but like when I use vibrators, I don't just leave it there and let it do its thing. I don't even like leave it on a pulse setting. I'm constantly adjusting the settings, putting it on, removing it. Like it's,
You're very fussy with how you like to use vibrators,
mm,
and lots of women are. That's like a very common thing. Um, Certain vibrators help, like this one. Again, this is called the Doxy Magic One, but any Magic One vibrator, any of these big bad boy vibrators, you basically just put it on there. And if you have it on a low enough setting, so it's not crazy intense, you can kind of just leave it on there. That's kind of the magic of these ones. You just leave it on there in the right spot, and boom, 20 minutes, 10 minutes later, she'll orgasm. But I know what you mean. It's like there's a lot of figuring out exactly where it goes. Like you're very specific. You, Imogen, are very specific with where
mm,
you like it to be, how you like it to feel, and all of that. And that's a
mm,
very common thing with a lot of women.
mm,
I think something that really helps that we do quite a lot is you will hand the vibrator to your female partner and say, make yourself orgasm. Or like, do you want to play with the toy? And maybe you don't put any pressure on to orgasm. You just say, here's the toy. I want you to make yourself feel good. I'm going to lie with you. I'm going to cuddle you. I'm going to stroke your hair. Maybe I'll play with your nipples. Maybe I'll jerk off a little bit, if you're a male partner. And I'm going to have a good time watching you. And you can kind of close your eyes, forget about me. I'd happily lay here with you for the next half an hour while you play with the toy.
mm,
It's exciting for me to look at your beautiful body, and that can help a lot.
mm.
So let your partner make themselves orgasm rather than you trying to do it. You can still try and do it, but like we're talking more if someone struggles. If you have a female partner who struggles to orgasm, it can help to just give them a vibrator or tell them to bring their favorite vibrator next time they come over and say, play with yourself. I want you to feel good while I watch.
Mm. And I think that is a big thing. It's like, as if you are the person that's the partner of a woman who is trying or you're trying to get them to orgasm, don't be afraid to let them direct it. Like, it doesn't have to be all you, assuming it's like the man or the partner. Like, you don't have to be doing the thing. You don't have to be going down on her. You don't have to be the one to finger or to have sex in order to have her orgasm. At least for the first couple of times, I think, because it's infinitely easier if you're the one doing it yourself because you know exactly how your body's reacting as the woman. And so, especially if this is something that you two are like, as two people coming together, if you're struggling to get a woman to orgasm, it's going to be easier to kind of take baby steps and do the easiest thing first.
Which is her make herself orgasm in front of you. Yeah.
Yeah, learn that you can do that. And I'm like, okay, we've tried that. I've seen how that feels. I've shown myself that I can do that. And then you can progressively do the things that might be more like challenging.
Yeah, yeah. Let's read out Bronwyn. So Bronwyn is the girl that we've been dating for a year and a half now. We actually did a podcast interview with her recently. That'll be out on this channel in a week or so. I asked her these same questions and she gave her answers. She literally just replied as we're talking right now. She has literally just replied, what a good girl. So I asked the question of, is orgasming in front of some other people something that took a bit of practice for you? She said, it's definitely something that took some work for me. I think I used to put pressure on myself to orgasm, which never actually worked for me. Letting myself relax and enjoy the moment definitely works a lot better. Yeah, that's exactly what we were saying before. So many times as a woman, again, guys do the same thing with their dick. It's like, hurry up and get hard. Come on, you have to be hard. You have to be hard. That's just going to make it soft. Now you're bullying your dick when it's not working. Bullying, generally speaking, doesn't work. Certainly doesn't make you perform under pressure. You're making it harder on yourself. So relaxing, giving yourself permission to suck, taking away the pressure and saying, if I don't orgasm or if my dick doesn't get hard, that's okay. There's everything else that we can do in the bedroom. It's not like we have to have an orgasm and my dick has to get hard for us to have fun. You know, the woman doesn't need an orgasm to have fun. Your dick doesn't need to get hard to have fun. You have your fingers, you have your mouth, you have your words. You guys can cuddle, you can feel each other's body, you can play with toys, BDSM. There's like a billion other things you can do that don't involve your dick being hard and her pussy orgasming. There's so much more out there to explore. The second question I asked her is, have you ever put pressure on yourself and you feel like you should be able to orgasm faster in front of other people? In other words, have you ever had performance anxiety with your orgasms? She says, I don't think I've ever thought I should be able to orgasm faster. I sometimes wish that I could orgasm faster and easier. Actually, when I'm taking a long time, it sometimes does feel a little bit bad that it's taking so long, and I won't always finish because of that. But I've learned to just enjoy the feelings and not be too focused on orgasming. I think she means it feels bad, like she feels bad for her partner. Like I'm taking too long. There's almost like a sense of guilt that can come in. Like guys get that same guilt when their dick doesn't get hard. So many guys would be like, oh God, like I'm not giving her a good time. This is not fair. Like I'm letting her down. Like that guilt gets in the way of your penis getting hard and also stops you from enjoying the moment and being grateful and all of that. So if you can, do your best to switch up that guilt for being present, for enjoyment, for gratitude, for giving yourself permission to suck, for accepting that your dick isn't hard right now or you're struggling to orgasm as a woman or as a guy, and just enjoying what you're actually having. I think taking off all the pressure and saying, okay, look, my dick isn't going to work today. Like you can literally just say that. Look, I'm really nervous. My dick isn't quite working. Do you want to try some other stuff with me? And every woman on the planet will say like, yeah, what stuff would you like to try? I'd love that. Let's try some foreplay. Wow, foreplay. Holy shit. Yes, please. Or if you're a woman, hey, I think I'm not going to be able to come today. I think it's just not going to work, but I'm still having a great time. It feels really good. You know, I'd love to cuddle with you. You did an amazing job. You made me feel amazing. Thank you for making me feel special. So focus on the good bits.
I think something that's actually helped me, which is something we've kind of done a little bit more of over time, is that like not all the focus, or maybe not more over time, but as we've gotten comfortable with the fact that I might not come, I don't always need to come. I like coming and I generally know how to make myself do that, but there's some days where it's just not happening. I think something that helps is also doing something else at the same time. So like not all the focus is, we're not all just sitting here or lying in bed trying to get me to come. Like some other sexual act is happening. So there's a sense of like, we're not putting all of this focus on this one thing and wanting it to happen. So whether that's me simultaneously giving you a blowjob or
Yeah, like going 69 with each other so you can focus on the blowjob rather than, oh, he's putting all the time and pressure on making me orgasm. Oh, fuck, I better hurry up.
yeah, especially like when there's been times where sometimes I've been playing with a toy, or this has happened more when, for example, you're going down on me. If that's the only sexual act that's happening, you can almost start to overthink or overanalyze what's happening. You're like, does that feel good? I'm not sure. Like, is that in the right spot? Like, oh, should it be a little bit higher? Like, should it be a little bit faster? Am I getting too sensitive? Is that the feeling of an orgasm coming? Is it not? Oh, did it just disappear? Like, you start thinking about it too much, and it can almost get in the way of pleasure. And I think that's part of why I really like the 69 position, is because I can put a lot of focus and energy and get a lot of pleasure out of giving you a blowjob. And it's almost like my body then just gets horny
Relaxes.
on
Yeah,
its
yeah.
own and it starts feeling good. And at some point
Yep.
I'm like, oh shit, this feels so good. And like, I'm really horny now because I'm not actually focusing on
Mm.
what's happening to me. My body's just doing its thing and feeling good.
Yeah, when you get out of your own way, your body often orgasms on its own, or your dick gets hard on its own. I say the same to guys. If you really struggle with performance anxiety as a man, like you struggle to get an erection, keep your underpants on and literally say, hey, we're not going to use my dick today. I want to practice everything else. And literally take the pressure away or the focus away from your dick. And half the time you end up getting the world's biggest erection because you're like, holy fuck, I'm not even thinking about my dick. And it accidentally got hard. You can even go a little bit further with this and play a fun game where you tell yourself and tell your partner, you say, I'm not allowed to get my dick out today. No matter what, I'm not allowed to have sex today. My dick cannot come out. And when you do that, it's almost like your dick becomes a little brat or something, right? It like rebels. You know, you go, hey, little dick, you're not going to come out today. And your dick's like, well, fuck you. I'm going to get super hard then. Like, look how fucking throbbing I am. And you're like, no, little dicky, you don't get to come out today. And your dick's like, fuck you. I want to come out. So yeah, it's funny. Same with orgasms, with female orgasms. When you take away the pressure and you just focus on the feelings and making her feel good and her doing other things, a lot of the time you accidentally end up orgasming. And there's several other things you can do as a woman or with your female partners that you're doing at the same time. I said it before, you can like hand someone a vibrator and she plays with the vibrator herself while you just gently caress her and play with her body and tell her that she's pretty and all of that. And so the focus is more on your words and your hands, like caressing her body, and your fingers on her nipples and, you know, stroking her face and playing with her hair. It's not just her pussy and like, hurry up, you better come, you better orgasm, hurry up. You could talk. Like you could literally give her the vibrator. We've done this sometimes where you have the vibrator and the male, assuming it's a male-female dynamic. So the female has the vibrator. She's playing with it herself. And the male just sits there and talks to her or lays there and talks to her. You know, what did you do this week? And she tries to keep up the conversation. And at some point you get so distracted by the vibrator that you accidentally orgasm in the middle of a conversation. You can obviously just sit there and make out and focus on that while you play with a vibrator. You can play with a vibrator during sex. So you're doing other things, you're having sex, and then if she happens to orgasm too, you know, great, brilliant. But vibrators help a lot, and we've mentioned them a lot. And now we're going to talk about what we're doing for a year. What are we doing for a year? What have we committed to for an entire year?
The concept of a year is still that stretch of time feels like a lot for me.
It's a 365-day project of not using a vibrator.
Which since I started like masturbating,
you started 2 weeks ago.
I don't think I've
Start that whole sentence again. Since you started masturbating, you mean when you were young?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I have gone longer than a month without using some sort of implement, to like help me come.
I think that's really common with women. Like so many women that we talk to and that we've slept with and played with, they only orgasm or they almost entirely only orgasm from vibrators. And that's part of why we've committed to, who knows if we'll go a full year, but we've committed to for a little bit of time, putting the vibrators aside and just trying with everything else. So I'm using my fingers, using mouth, you're using your own fingers, you know, playing with partners and stuff like that. Because for a little bit of context, you felt like you've lost a bit of sensitivity, or it's like you lose that sensitivity. If you're using a vibrator all the time, you find it harder to then orgasm without one. And there's sort of a feeling of an over-reliance on vibrators.
Yeah. I also note that I'm slightly less horny, like in between, if that makes sense as well.
When you use a vibrator?
When I'm using a vibrator, say like once a week to come, I'm generally walking around less horny. It's interesting. There's something different about an orgasm with a vibrator versus an orgasm. Generally speaking, with your tongue is the only other way that I can fairly consistently come. It can be with a vibrator more intense, but something about it afterwards, I'm just like, I'm not that sensitive. I'm way less horny. Whereas I find in between, like if you've made me come with your tongue, like going down on me, I can be horny later that day. Whereas I find that's less so the case when I'm using a vibrator. And that's been interesting to explore as well.
I think men feel something similar, at least most of the male clients I have and friends, where if you jerk off to porn, you're way less horny during the week. But if you have sex with a woman, It's like it ignites something inside you. And even though you just came, it's like you're still horny the next day, or you're horny later that same day. You're horny even an hour or so later. It feels more, I don't know, it feels like porn and jerking off is very intense because you're getting extremely stimulated.
Mm.
And maybe your brain is a little bit overstimulated for a couple of days afterwards. So I find I'm way hornier if I put porn aside entirely and don't jerk off and just only have sex or blowjobs or handjobs from you or other women. So yeah, I can see how that applies with women. So like you hinted at this before. We've been experimenting or practicing me making you come with my tongue, which I think we have a pretty good system. We've got a pretty good, we're pretty good at it now. It takes maybe, I don't know, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think sometimes, like you said, it's kind of just having a system. Like you kind of figure stuff out and you find ways
You
that
figure out what works, yeah.
help you come. Like some stuff just works for me, and I know for other women that might not work for them at all. Like everyone's got very, very specific, or often women can have very specific preferences.
Yeah, whereas for most men, it's just like do something to the dick for like 5 minutes and it will come. Like do anything to the dick and it will come. Yeah, women are a little bit more like, take a little bit more finessing. Women are a Rubik's Cube. Men are like a Rubik's Cube, but it's like there's only one cube.
It's a dice.
Yeah, it's a dice. It's already
like
solved. Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually had like a little bit of like, oh, it'd be nice if I could be like a man and just like jerk my dick for a bit and
Rub my clit for 2 minutes and then,
come
oh, I came.
and be
Great.
like,
Sweet.
cool, that's sorted. Like, because there's
Yeah.
actually been moments where like even I've been like, and it's not just like a with a partner thing. Like, there's been some times or some occasions where I've been playing with myself on my own, and I'm at it for like 45 minutes, an hour, and I'm just like, I just really want to come, but it's like it's not happening today. Like it's
And
just
some guys get that.
yeah.
Like I've worked with guys that get that, where they're like, I can only come in a very specific way, like literally only with my own hands in a very specific way. I can't come from blowjobs or her giving me a hand job or sex. I've worked with a few male clients like that. So I've basically talked them through exactly what we talk through with women, you know. Yeah, but I think we're doing a pretty good job so far. We also, the other day, we played with Bronwyn, and I read out both her answers, didn't I?
Yes.
Yes, I did. We played with Bronwyn the other day, and because you and I are not using vibrators, we basically said to her, like, look, you do whatever the hell you want when you're at home, but when you come over to us, we're not going to use vibrators, like with you, and do whatever you want at home. Like, use your vibrators, go crazy, whatever. But she's actually reasonably easy enough to make orgasm. Like, the other day, we had two... I'm assuming she'll be comfortable with me saying all this. I'll phrase it in a nice, like, tame way. We used some dildos, and I just used my fingers on her clit. And I had lots of lube. I highly recommend lube when you're playing with a woman. Like, we use lube all the time. You said it before. Lots of people never use lube in their entire life. We use lube all the time. This is my favorite lube. It's called Wet Stuff Gold. It's really hard to find in America, so I've shown you this on the screen, and now I've cock-teased all of you. All of you Americans are not going to be able to find this. Any of my Aussie brothers, you'll be able to find this. It's in every supermarket, every grocery store. It's everywhere. Anyway, get some water-based lube, like this one. And we like to use that during sex. I definitely like to use it when I'm playing with you or playing with another girl. And so we played with Brahman the other day. I used lots of lube on the dildos and obviously on my fingers. Made her come within like, I don't know, it felt like it was only like 5 or 10 minutes of playing with her clit. Didn't take very long. So yeah, it's like you said before, different women can come from different things. Whereas if I put dildos in you and then play with your clit with my fingers, you won't come.
Not gonna happen.
Like maybe if we did that for an hour and a half, we can try it one day. I'll very much try it with you. I reckon like 2 hours. Maybe we put a movie on.
And that's actually
We put a
another
movie on
tip.
so you don't have to like worry about like, he's going to be bored. It's like, nah, he gets to watch a movie.
I was actually going into, because we were talking about ideas or things you can do, and you mentioned mostly sexual things that you can do at the same time. But something that we've often done is that when I'm just playing, even if it's just a toy by myself, or with you there, we might put a movie on, or you'll be playing a video
Music,
game,
yeah,
or
yeah.
you'll just be like sitting on your phone. And so you're there and you are sharing the experience
And I give you
together.
like a little cuddle. I put my arm around you.
Yeah.
I play with the boobs. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I might, like put my head on your chest or lie next to you or put my head in your lap and just lie with you. And I'm getting myself off, but you're doing something, because that also removes a lot of the mental pressure.
Yeah,
of, like,
yeah. That's
he's
actually,
bored.
like, we're not even being silly when we say this. It might sound, like, people might hear that and be like, what? You ignore your partner when they're trying to orgasm. It's like, sometimes that's the best way to help them fucking orgasm. Yeah, because if I'm just sitting there like staring at your pussy going like, hurry up, come on, what are you doing? Hurry up, speed it up. Like that's a lot of fucking pressure. Same with like any women out there, by the way. If any of your men ever get erectile dysfunction, which is incredibly common, by the way, like most men will experience it at some point in their life. Don't just like look at his dick and be like, come on, hurry up. Come on, what the fuck is this? You're like playing with his limp dick. You're like, come on. You start slapping it. You're like, what the fuck is this? Hurry up. Come on, I need sex. Mama needs sex. Like, that's a lot of fucking pressure. So if you kind of just go like, it's okay, sweetheart. Like, let's just make out. I won't look at your dick. I won't get anywhere near your dick. We'll just kind of forget about your dick for a little while. Like, not looking at the fucking area that's currently not performing is the quickest way to actually help it perform. So, yeah, that helps a lot.
Essentially, a lot of this just boils down to removing the pressure,
Yeah.
not putting all of the focus on the thing that you're struggling to do. And when you teach yourself to relax, all of this can come a lot easier. And part of it, though, is by not putting the focus on it, is also removing some of the pressure by saying it's okay if this doesn't happen. Like, I get this video is very much centered around like helping a woman come or helping a guy get hard, like fixing the matter that is performance anxiety. But part of what can help is saying it's okay if a guy can't get hard. It's okay if a woman can't orgasm or can't get wet. Like, let's just focus on the pleasure and the actual act of what we're doing rather than some sort of end result.
Yeah, and the word that you used before, you said, often people get caught up in, we have to fix this performance anxiety. We have to fix you not being able to orgasm. We have to fix the man's dick not being able to get hard. There's nothing to fix. There's nothing broken. As soon as you can switch up that mindset and realize that sometimes men's penises just don't get hard. Sometimes women's vaginas don't get wet or they don't orgasm. That's just human biology. It's animal biology too. It happens with tons of animals. And so that's just a normal thing that happens sometimes. As soon as you can switch that up and start to normalize it a little bit more, and that doesn't mean you don't then take steps to work through it and, learn how to be hard or learn some techniques or some tricks or any of that. Of course, like you work on it. But the first step has to be acceptance. But if you sit there and beat yourself up and say, I should be wetter, I should be able to orgasm more, my dick should be harder, I should be more fucking virile and alpha male and she should be an alpha female, like we should be perfect. As soon as you drop that act, you're actually more likely to get hard, to get wet, to orgasm and all of that. And you actually enjoy the damn thing. I'll phrase it like this. I said this before. I've worked with so many clients that can't get hard. I've worked with a couple of clients who had a botched penis, or one client who had a botched penis surgery. So his dick could never get hard. Never again. Was never going to get hard ever again. Dysfunctional like penises. It's not even dysfunctional, but like it's never going to get hard ever again. But he was having an amazing sex life and he had a girlfriend at the time and they had a wild sex, he had a bunch of sex and all of that. Because he focused on everything else. He learned BDSM. He taught himself tantric sex. He learned how to make women feel amazing. He learned how to use his words and tease and edge and orgasm and all of that. And so there's so much other shit that you can do. The sexual, I think there's this idea, and it comes from porn, it comes from movies, it just comes from a lack of understanding. There's this general idea that, at least in heterosexual sex, the only thing that matters is the penis goes inside the vagina, and everything else is just surrounding that. Everything else leads up to that. It's like, the sex, the actual penetration, is such a tiny part of our sex life and the sex life of the women that we date and sleep with. It's such a small part. Like, what did Bronwyn say the other day? We had a threesome with Bronwyn the other day. This is the girl that we've been seeing for a year and a half. What did she say after sex? Like, we had a threesome. We were cuddling immediately after.
She mentioned that she hadn't played with her dick at all. And
She literally said, I didn't touch your dick at all today, Andy.
Which has probably never happened.
Yeah. But like we had a day focused on everything else. Fingers, tongue, mouths, just words, cuddling, everything else. Like we didn't have sex. Did I even penetrate you?
No, I wasn't having sex.
I didn't penetrate anyone. No. Because we had a really slow time and that was amazing. Was that an amazing sexual day?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That was like fucking hot as hell.
Everyone
and so you
came.
don't, we all had an orgasm. You don't have to like stick the penis in the vagina or the asshole or the mouth or anything. You don't have to have an orgasm. You can have all of these beautiful, wide, varied sexual experiences where everyone's incredibly pleasured, orgasms or doesn't orgasm, has a beautiful experience. It doesn't just have to be sex. I think we're so penetration focused and there's nothing wrong with that. Penetration is pretty fucking nice. But if you're struggling to have penetration for whatever reason, There's so much other shit that you can do. And we're also very orgasm focused. I think a lot of the world is like, if you don't orgasm, then she wasn't satisfied. She'll think you're a beta male cuck and she'll leave you. Or if the guy doesn't come, it must mean the woman did something wrong. It's like, no, it doesn't just have to be focused on that stuff. Let's talk finally a little bit about some women. We'll end with like a funny couple of stories of like some women that we played with who could orgasm super easily and how funny that is, or how interesting that is. We had one girl in particular, remember, that she used to just orgasm. You would go down on her, the really tall woman who starts with
I
M.
know.
You'd go down on her for like 2 minutes, maybe like 30 seconds, and she would just orgasm. You'd like start the process of licking her pussy, and she'd be like, oh, I'm going to come. And you're like, no, you're not. Like, fuck off. And then she would just
Yeah.
orgasm.
Or
And you're like, I haven't even started yet.
and it wasn't just that, it was like fingering her roughly.
Everything would
or-
make her orgasm. Sex would make her orgasm. Fingers would make her orgasm. Rubbing her pussy, rubbing her clit. Sometimes you didn't even have to rub her clit, just around her pussy. Licking anywhere down there would, like kissing her clit really gently would make her come. Yeah, that was insane. We've had a few women like that, but that's so unbelievably rare. That's like 1 in 20, 1 in 50. It's probably like 1 in 50.
I'm not sure if you remember actually. This is like the opposite end of the spectrum. I think we'd met one girl who maybe we saw once or twice, and she said she's never had an orgasm
I've met a few women like that in my life.
ever, like on
especially
her own
Asian.
with a partner. It's just like not happened. And
Yep.
we tried for a little bit, but it was just like no. She was like, it feels nice, but
Even
like
with vibrators, yeah. Yeah. So that's something she could go on a lifelong quest. Her like one of her side quests in her life journey could be, I want to have an orgasm, have my first orgasm. I've met 2 women that could come from just their nipples. And I didn't believe them when they first told me. They were like, I can come if someone plays with my nipples for 5 or 10 minutes, I can orgasm. And I was like, no, you can't. Grow the fuck up. That's not possible. No, they were telling the truth. And that was really hot. Like, I'll be honest, that was like the hottest shit ever. But also part of my brain was like, nah, they're lying, right? Like, there's no way. But like, no, genuinely, like their pussy would clench. Like they would fucking have a full body orgasm just from nipples. On that note, maybe we could have talked about this. I think we hinted at it. Lots of women's bodies are different when it comes to how wet you get. Like some women will get incredibly dripping wet when all you did was kiss them. Some women, it feels like they're walking around just permanently wet, which fucking superpower. But then they're like, no, it means that I have to change my underpants a lot and it's embarrassing. But it's like, guys love that shit. And then some women don't get as wet or like maybe can't get wet at all. We've played with a couple women like that, or maybe I did by myself because I can remember 2 specifically that like could not ever get wet ever, no matter what. Nothing you did would make it wet. Particularly if she's on antidepressants, SSRIs as they're known, that can help you or can stop you from orgasming and stop you from getting wet.
yeah. And this is similar to, and I know we mentioned it at the start, but to orgasms is that often like the getting wet can be related to like a pressure as well, because it kind of just inhibits some of the enjoyment that you're getting because there is that stress. So relaxing it, there's definitely things you can do to help with like natural lubrication and
There's
feeling more
supplements and
pleasure.
yeah,
Yeah.
diet and stuff like that. Yeah, for sure. Anything else to add before we start summarizing? So in summary, a hell of a lot of people, men and women, feel performance anxiety or erectile dysfunction or inability to get wet, or they struggle to orgasm, or they orgasm what they perceive to be too quickly. I'm working with a coaching client on that right now. And it can be helpful to remind yourself, if I'm nervous or if I have performance anxiety, they probably do to some extent too. Like I'm probably not alone in this. Lots of people are insecure about their bodies or their sexuality or their orgasms or their penis or their vagina or their boobies or whatever else. And giving yourself permission to suck can help. It's okay not to be okay. In other words, it's okay to feel anxious. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to worry about doing a good job. It's okay to worry about being smooth. It's okay to feel clumsy. It's okay if you put a ton of pressure on yourself. Like you're doing your best, and that is amazing. Anything
Yeah.
else to add?
I don't think so, other than if there is anybody that would like help with some of this. Like you said, you've got quite a lot of experience working with clients who have these issues.
I've coached so many people on this. Like this, I'm working with 3 people right now on this kind of stuff. So
And
if you'd like
us-
more help with that, coaching.
Yeah. And
Oh my God, yes, coaching.
even if that's like in our personal lives, like we've obviously been with quite a few women who have a little bit of difficulty coming and have overcome that. So if you have a partner that you would like to help orgasm and you would like to explore more sex and pleasure together,
Pleasure together.
that's the one. Then that's also something that you can help with.
Hell yeah. I will leave a link in the description below to both of my coaching options. As always, ladies and gentlemen, go out there, crush those goals. And if you don't crush your goals, that's okay. Have a beautiful, fun time in the bedroom. And if you don't have a beautiful, fun time in the bedroom, that's okay too. Basically, everything is okay.